To start off with our topic today, for those who are familiar, do you know the name of the game Fortnite? It's a very popular game worldwide. Well, actually, I've tried to play the game a little bit, but it's not my cup of tea. They've been in the news lately. If you haven't heard that the games that are, in order to play the games, you have to download them whether through Google's Android or through Apple's iOS app stores, which recently they have been kicked out. Now, for whatever the reason is, the company Epic Games, which owns or developed the game Fortnite, is suing both companies. Now, what could be a possible reason? Well, simple the matter is it's all about money. In this case, Fortnite or Epic Games is has an issue with regards to a developer or any game developer who wants to develop an app in the App Store, regardless if it's Apple or Google, they have to pay a 30% commission. So every time you purchase an app, the fee that you pay, 30% goes directly to the company Apple or Google, which obviously it's a big chunk. But let's dig deeper as to what happened here and what's been going on and what do you think will happen in the future. Now, obviously, Fortnite, the company or the game itself, is a global brand which has tens of even millions of players worldwide, which generates millions or even billions for the company Epic Games. Now, obviously, generating billions and billions of dollars, looking at the bottom line, you can clearly see, or they would clearly see that 30% going to, filter to another company, it doesn't seem reasonable. I think about it. And obviously, what they did here is with the app that you download from Google or Apple, they try to circumvent the process. So if you're going to make a transaction within the game, you can bypass the app stores themselves and pay directly through Epic Games. Now, obviously, this is a clear violation of the agreement between Epic Games and the app stores themselves. So obviously, Apple and Google has no recourse but to kick them out. But obviously, it's not as simple as that, because if big developers such as Epic Games are clamoring or complaining regarding the 30% fee that they have to pay every time a user pays for a particular skins or upgrades within the game, it has to course through the app store themselves. So, which is kind of ironic, because in other articles it stated that in the case of games, you have to course through Apple, and Apple has to vet or rate each individual games, which is kind of ludicrous if you think about it. Which we discussed in last week with regards to cloud gaming from Microsoft as well as Facebook are complaining as well that it's difficult for them to penetrate the iOS ecosystem to gain a large market share in terms of the user base. Now, games are technically, if it's a subscription base, so all the games that is available for that Steam, let's say for uh, Microsoft's Game Pass, so you have a plethora of games that you can play right away once you have subscribed to their Game Pass. But obviously, on Apple's side, they need to be able to check individual games as to whether it merits to be included in their App Store. Obviously, what they're contending is that they're wanting to protect the interests of the users themselves, which is reasonable. But again, at the end of the day, what's kind of ironic, limiting the games what can be played in the iOS or in the App Store, Apple's App Store. If you're a gamer, which if you have a iPhone phone, you'll think twice as to whether next time you want to upgrade your phone, would you still stick with iPhone, or would choose an alternative, let's say Google. Now, obviously, Google has already kicked out the game of Fortnite, but they're not as much as strict as compared to Apple, in such a way that if you're Epic, they are able to install the game through a different form. Now there are two ways to install the games. I think first is you can use an APK. Okay. Now obviously this is dangerous if you don't know where you're getting the source, and this might destroy your phone, which has happened in many instances. So what Epic has done is you can go to their main website, so you can download the game legally and it's safe. Okay, and another is if you're a Samsung phone, you have a Samsung phone, you can directly download Fortnite game through their website. So there's more alternatives compared to Apple, which is a big deal because in the Northern American region, almost 50% of the market share is belongs to Apple. Anyway, so as mentioned earlier, so Fortnite is, you know, the the game Fortnite, which is made by Epic Games, is filing a suit against the tech giant. Now Apple is in hot waters, starting from the issue with Microsoft and Facebook, and even before that, they were summoned into Congress regarding the antitrust, monopolistic nature of the company, and being unfair to other developers. And so aside from Apple, I think Google was summoned. Then we have Amazon as well. So those big companies were summoned and were grilled heavily by the politicians regarding their, concerning issues. So let's dig deeper here. Yeah, so you can see here. So the issue here is the direct payment dispute. Obviously, typically you have to course through your payment using whatever devices you're using, whether through Google or through Apple's App Store, in which they have to pay a levy of 30%. Right, that's a big amount. So if you think about it, right now Apple has a cash cow in this scenario wherein they generate millions or billions of dollars over the course of several years. Obviously, they're not going to let it end like this, but it just goes to show that companies like this tends to become even more powerful because they tend to control more of the market. So like in this case, like Epic is contending is that the behemoth seeking to control markets, block competition, and stifle innovation. So in this scenario, Epic has a case here, but Epic themselves is a big giant in terms of a first party developer games. And not only that, as mentioned, Apple is contending that the games violated the guidelines, so it applies equally to all developers that are designed to keep the store safe. Now, originally, Apple intended this fee to be able to maintain the App Store, which has, obviously they get to dictate the terms, which is somewhat vague, not clear, but at the end of the day, they were able to see that, how the game has blown up in terms of developing and users, using several games. They are able to generate millions or even billions of dollars. So what happens here? Obviously, Epic did this not by accident. So they knew that they were going to be kicked out once they try to circumvent the process, in which obviously Apple and Google has no recourse but to kick them out. But what they did after was kind of interesting. So they did a campaign, guerrilla campaign of sorts, wherein they used Apple's own tactic, using the 1984 advertisement, to put some sly in Apple's company. So let's take a look here. Obviously, with regards to Apple, here's the video. So let's take a short look here. So this is similar to the video or the ad that Apple made way back in 1984. They're trying to to combat the enemy. They're the good guys versus the bad guys. In this case, Fortnite used this in reverse. So Fortnite became the good guy, then the Apple became the enemy here, and they try to mock the concept here and trying to fight against the monopoly that is Apple. So obviously every player has seen this, and It's trying to portray that Apple is the enemy here, not necessarily Epic Games. Now, obviously, gamers here are worried in terms of how are they going to be able to play. Can they still play in their existing mobile phones, their Apple phones or Android devices? Now, obviously, up to this point, you can still use it currently, but once you have to update your phones individually, then this is where the problem is. If there's no update, you cannot play the latest season and so forth. So here lies the dilemma. After there have been reports that someone in eBay is trying to sell off their phones with the game of Fortnite included, and I think it's costing around $10,000. Now I don't know if anyone is willing to buy that amount, just to play the game. Won't it be much better if you were to just play on a different console or different platform? You could play it PC, you could play it in Switch, or actually I have it in Switch, but I haven't played that much. So there are other alternatives other than just playing in your mobile phone.